Right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Utopia of Hospitality, brought to you by BIHC. BIHC is the Boma International Hospitality College. We are a college located here in Nairobi. We've been in operation since 2015. We offer college education in hospitality, offering a certificate and diploma level programs in culinary arts and hotel management. For our Utopia of Hospitality session this week, we will be having two panelists that we are happy and very honored to have with us. We will have Mr. Mike Macharia, okay, a hospitality professional with vast experience at leading brands, okay, for example, Hilton, International Sarova hotels. At a young age, he held positions such as front office manager, sales and marketing, and eventually became general manager with Windsor Golf and Hotel Country Club. His energy and focus has accorded him board positions at the following institutions, for example, the Tourism Regulatory Authority, Kenya, Nairobi Water Company, Hotel and Restaurant Authority, Athi Water Services Board, the Kenya Tourism Board, the Kenya Golf Marketing Alliance, and Golf Talent Foundation, among others. So currently, he is the CEO of the Kenya Association of Hotelkeepers and Caterers, and board director at Boma International Hospitality College. Our other panelist is Ms. Arjaa Shah. She's a seasoned hotelier as well, with 10 years experience. Okay. She studied hotel management at Les Roches in Switzerland and accomplished 2 degrees in business administration and as well a diploma in hotel management with a specialization in entrepreneurship. She has worked various roles in Italy, USA, United Kingdom. When she moved back to Kenya, she joined the village market as a hospitality project manager to assist in the building of the Trademark Hotel. So currently, she is the Deputy Corporate General Manager at Tribe and Trademark, 2 of Nairobi's well-known hotels, synonymous with exceptional service and offerings. Okay, Arjaa's role largely covers revenue, reservations, meetings, and events and projects. She's extremely passionate about giving back to the community and is the chair of Ayudh Kenya, which has committed to giving walking canes to visually impaired children around the country. So Arjaa and Mike, welcome to Utopia of Hospitality. I hope I have shed light correctly on what it is that you do and who you are. So maybe going forward, we are discussing the Utopia of Hospitality. The discussion is focused on what we are dealing right now with the pandemic, okay? And we're going to look to get information from your end on what it is that we're facing and what we should be prepared for going forward. So Arjaa, let me start with you. Ladies go first. Maybe you can give us a little bit more on Trademark, on the operations and what it is that you're dealing with right now.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, so at Trademark Hotel, we have continued staying open for quarantine and non-quarantine facility. We're blessed with the fact that we have 3 different towers, so we can accommodate both sets of guests without them ever having to interact with one another. It's a weird time though. I think the best thing that we've done at the moment was we had to look at a full 360 view of how this pandemic was going to affect not just our guests, but our staff as well, and everybody who comes to stay at Trademark. This is not just, it's about how we picked up plates from quarantine rooms to how we dispose of garbage to how often you have to sanitize your elevators. We opened as a quarantine hotel before any of the guidelines had to come out. So we were sort of at the forefront of also making these guidelines and sharing them with our colleagues for best practices.
Okay. At what point did you notice or realize that you were going to head towards this situation that made you become the front runner in preparation to deal with the quarantine situation? What triggered your thought towards that?
Honestly, it was really funny because we were thinking, okay, COVID's not going to hit us for another month or 2 months. We're not going to have to deal with it. And then it was sort of 3 days later where we're like, okay, we're a quarantine hotel. Now what? And we're really lucky that we have staff members that have dealt with other pandemics, so such as SARS. So we had to sit there and be like, okay, if this is how we dealt with it in one pandemic, now what? What are we going to have to do? We were one of the first hotels to get full PPE. And watching people in full bodysuits and plastic walking around the hotel is one thing, but sorry, I've lost my train of thought over there. It's all come so fast. I don't think anyone realized how fast we had to deal with everything and how fast you had to think about everything. But I think one of our main priorities is also our staff. Are we putting them in danger? Are we putting ourselves in danger being in the property, and making sure that we operate to a hospital level to keep everyone safe?
Sure. Great, thank you. Mr. Mark Macharia, over to you. Maybe give us a brief introduction of the Hotelkeepers Association and what it is that you deal with and how you're coping with the situation so far.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Alan. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
If I talk about the Hotelkeepers, we'll probably take the entire webinar. So I'll just try to be very brief. We are an association that looks after the interests of investors in hospitality. So that means hotels, restaurants. We have some specialty caterers, such as KICC, the people who make airline food, NAS and LSG. They're neither hotels or restaurants, but they play a very big part in tourism. So generally our job is to advocate for a good business environment for investors in this industry, and then also deal with industrial relations. That's a lot with unions and the law. And then again, we do a bit of marketing because we have a publication that we put out at WTM every year and at ITB. And it positions our members out there. We send it to all the embassies. We send it to all the trade missions. We give it, KTB use it as a collateral, part of their marketing collateral. And we also do a bit of information exchange within the membership where we tell them what's happening, what's new, what to watch out for. We monitor laws. We tell them the impact of the new laws. We monitor problems such as COVID-19 and give them advice. And also we conduct a bit of training, particularly in the area of human resource and employee relations, industrial relations, and finance. So broadly, that's what we do. It's quite a bit.
Yes.
In terms of COVID-19, we, as you know, crisis in tourism, crisis in other areas hit tourism first. So we were the first ones to be hit. I think when the information came out of China in January, we knew we had problems. When it seeped into Europe in February, we started seeing cancellations. And, as Arjaa will tell you, some people were canceling simply because they did not know what to do with the virus. So by the time we were shutting down ourselves in mid-March, we had already received massive cancellations for the month of March, April, May, June, and onwards. And the clients that were already in the country wanted to go back to their homes. So what we did is that we moved very quickly, got together with our cabinet secretary for tourism, arranged for an industry meeting in early March, agreed on the steps that we should take, and agreed on what to do with the staff. And most importantly, we told our people, don't fire your staff. We try and keep them employed for the next 3 or 4 months. Then we can monitor the curve, because being a very new virus, we didn't know where it was going. And the modeling that we were getting from destinations such as Italy were very, very scary. So we decided to keep our employees on payroll, rotate with unpaid leave. We signed a deal with the union. We met with the Labor Ministry. We met with the Treasury. We met with the Cabinet Secretary for Trade. We met with the Cabinet Secretary for Health. We met everybody basically on behalf of tourism, and said, let's tough it out for 3 to 4 months, hoping that the curve would go down. But the virus is teaching us a lot of things. The curves are different in different places. We were expecting a peak here in April. Now we've been told it might come in August. Our hotels are shut down. Arjaa will tell you they've paid their staff for 4 months without any business. Fortunately, they were part of the quarantine hotel, so they got a little bit of income, not too much, but not enough to sustain them. And then we were thinking by around now would be ready to reopen the businesses, but we were working on specific areas of safety that we needed to address as hospitality and tourism in general. And that's where we are right now. We've worked on some SOPs, which we've sent out to our members. They're reading them. Last week, the Cabinet Secretary appointed a team to look at general industry SOPs, which is what we've been doing for the last 3 days. In fact, I've had to leave that meeting to come here because the detail is humongous. And I'll probably, after this webinar, still rejoin that meeting because we have a deadline of today. And we're expecting His Excellency the President to address us either today or tomorrow to give direction. But as tourism industry, it is not our first crisis. We've gone through many crises from the 90s, and that's why we were the first ones to swing into action, deal with the staff, deal with government, push for incentives. We very quickly got a reprieve on VAT. We got a reduction on PAYE. We got a reduction on the central bank cash reserve ratios. We got a reduction on the central bank rate, which meant reduced interest rates. The 35 billion that was freed by central bank was actually used entirely by the hospitality industry to restructure loans and look after staff payments and so on and so forth. So we got quite a bit from government, and we are still engaging to get more. You heard that the president announced a 2 billion kitty. We had 500 million recovery fund announced by CS Balala. So we keep engaged, and because this is going to be a very long journey. Even if COVID disappears today, we'll still have a very long journey to recovery, and we'll need to keep on engaging. As an introduction, I think I've said too much, Alan.
No, it's okay. No, thank you very much for that insight. That is interesting information, and it also gives us a realistic insight into what it is that we're dealing with. Okay, now for the two of you as panelists that we have, we are dealing with a unique situation here where in the case of Arjaa, she is being Trademark Hotel, okay, that is an operation that serves clients. And for Hotelkeepers Association, your client is right there. Arjaa would be a client of yours. Okay, so we're dealing with kind of a chain here. which will be which will bring an interesting conversation. Now, let me ask. I've just received a question from one of our viewers. Why did it take you mentioned that we're relooking into SOPs and restructuring how it is that we deal with health issues and so on and so forth. Why did it take a pandemic for us to realize that health-wise we're not quite okay?
Thank you, Alan. It's not the pandemic per se. It is the nature of the virus, because like I said before, we've dealt with so many other tourism crises. We have dealt with the highland malaria. We've dealt with at the coast dengue fever, which was also new. We dealt with SARS in 2003. We've dealt with outbreaks of even very old diseases such as cholera, and we've dealt with Ebola, even though it has never actually there's never been an outbreak in Kenya, but we've had to deal with it as Kenya. So the nature of this new virus is such that it changed everything. The only advantage we had as a sector is that we are already used to very high standards of hygiene. Right from the training that you give at VIHC, you start people off on a very high standard of hygiene, and that footing continues. So that's why you found that our industry was very easy to adopt and even develop SOPs. I'll give you an example. I got a call immediately when people were evacuated, and I was told we need hotels to provide quarantine facilities. I got in touch with our members and I said, we need your hotels. Tribe and Trademark had actually shut down at that point. And I said, you must open because we know the facility and we know it's a good facility and we know the way it's set out. It can actually host quarantine people. At that point, we did not even have the protocols from the ministry of what to do, what to wear, what is PPE. For most of us, PPE was a new term. But we were able to host all these clients within the various hotels in Nairobi and have zero contamination after 4 to 6 weeks of hosting. We had zero contamination in between client and our staff. And the reason why we did that is that because we already used to this way, the modus operandi. So all we did was just say linen, put it outside the door, put it in a safe bag. Let's move it out. You know, we learned as we went, and then we got a bit of training from the Kenya Healthcare Federation, and we were able to actually fulfill everything. And I think there are some people who checked out on Sunday from Trademark. We are still hosting quarantine clients. So for us, it was just a matter of adjusting. For the rest of the world, it was a full change of the social status, improve hygiene, clean hands, wipe surfaces, keep distance. If you're coughing, stay home. This is stuff that we already do in our industry. So it was very easy for us to adopt. But for the rest of the world, that's why you're finding people are struggling. The public transport sector is struggling. Malls are struggling. Pubs are struggling. Yeah. If you walk into a pub in our place, we are not struggling. So it is the nature of this pandemic that has changed the entire social fabric. And I think we'll be talking about that in terms of numbers a bit later. But it is something that has also come with a lot of silver linings, because it has given us an opportunity as a country, or as countries all over the world, to review our health facilities. Nobody would ever imagine that they would run out of hospital beds in New York, for example, or even Lombardy, which is reputed to be the best medical region in Europe. India, we all used to dash out to India for treatment. So it's given us an opportunity to look in the mirror and also review some of our facilities, both in terms of health, in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of networks, even taxation. So there's a lot of silver lining that's coming through. And we hope that by the end of this COVID-19, we will emerge a better society, better businesses. We have to change our way of thinking. You remember in the before 911, nobody really thought about security when they were traveling. You could just hop into a plane in the States from one state to the other. You could walk to the airport and say, hey, can I travel now? You know, pay your ticket and go. But after terrorism, it also changed how we operate. And that's where we are seeing COVID taking us to the partnerships that we've formed with the security fraternity and the security world. We will now be able to form those partnerships with the health and safety sector. And we probably might even have at BIHC some modules that will deal with public health at some point. So there's a lot of silver lining.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. I think it is very important to get that clarification where the perception has been, okay, now because the focus is here on health, and the question is coming, okay, why has it never been a focus before? So thank you for that clarification. It is a very great insight. Now you mentioned about the quarantine products that even Trademark offered. Maybe Arjaa, you can give us some in-depth information on what is this product, what is this service that people are paying for to come and see or experience at the Trademark.
Absolutely. So I think Trademark has been on the forefront of what protocols have been put in place, and some hotels have adopted, some hotels haven't. But when we were looking at taking quarantine guests, we very quickly learned, just in our first day, that it's not just about physical protection, but it's also about mental protection. So when you come to Trademark, we know that you're not supposed to be in contact with other guests for the whole 14 days. We also know that you need to be protecting yourself and everyone else around you. But also being cooped up in a room for 14 days, people can go crazy. Yeah. So when coming to Trademark, we had to look at every aspect because we also want to protect our client base. We started cleaning rooms every 3 days for our guests, while changing linen, taking out your trash, cleaning your bathrooms. This is because we realized that you need to be in a clean environment to have a clean state of mind. Another aspect is everybody misses the outdoors. So what we did is we did supervised time of walking around outside in a very specific area to give people that sort of fresh air, sunlight, and again, to help their mental state. We offered all dietary requirements. Now, you can't come down to our restaurant, but we managed to give everybody all their meals in their rooms hot. I think what set us apart from every other property that I can think of at the moment is we went that extra mile just because we are a human-centric product, and we have to remember that we're not here to make money, but we're also here because people like to come stay with us. So some of the things that we used to do was give a surprise to our guests. We created a WhatsApp group so our guests could talk to other people who are in a similar situation. One day we partnered up with the Ghetto Classics, and we managed to do a social distancing concert from your room. All you had to do was open your window and you could see them and you could hear the wonderful music that they were playing. Yeah. As we know, all small, medium-sized enterprises were suffering for the last couple of months. So we also partnered up with other companies in Village Market that are small, We sent up milkshakes as a surprise to our guests. We organized a movie night where everybody was discussing a movie and sent up popcorn to the rooms. So it wasn't, when you come to Trademark, you're not just expecting to come to a room for 14 days, but you have an entire experience around your 14 days that you can enjoy, and you can leave and say, okay, quarantine was not that bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. Let's move more to the side of human resources. Okay, we had the pleasure of hosting your group training manager during our induction. Okay, and she gave us an insight of how it is that you dealt and kept your employees motivated, and how your training schemes had to be changed in order to prepare people to deal with this new situation. Would you be able to kindly give us an insight on how it is that you dealt with your employees?
So between Tribe and Trademark, we have 400 or over 400 staff. Obviously, through this entire situation, you don't need over 400 staff. We're very lucky that we've managed to pay them all the way up to this month on a reduced salary, but we don't have the business to obviously support full salaries at the moment. Training is something that is not a one-time deal for us. We're constantly training throughout the organization. So for example, our spa last week went through the barbicide training program to deal with patients in COVID and how to protect yourself while taking a facial, a massage, a manicure, pedicure, and all other aspects. We've managed to create a LinkedIn marketplace where we've offered our staff discounted rates on food and beverages, so their money can go a little bit further, which is, it's specific. So we're still giving everyone credit towards our own shop, and we're only extending the discounts to our staff that we're receiving at the hotel as it is from our wholesalers.
Okay.
I know, for example, in some of the departments that I've been running, we've asked the staff, okay, what would you like to train on during your time here? So if you're sitting at home, is there specific topics that you think you needed to brush up on? And I got 24 different topics for my staff that now I'm creating training programs around. And because they're at home and they really want to come back, they're taking the time to sit there. Training has become virtual, but I think a lot of things are going to become virtual.
Yes.
But creating state-of-the-art programs is really what we are known for. And we're trying to go always above and beyond, and not to Kenyan standards, but to worldwide standards. Our standards here are already very high. So we're taking all of those experiences and seeing how we can take it to our employees at their homes at the moment. So nobody's sitting idle and they're still growing themselves.
Ah, wonderful. Sounds great. Now, back to you, Mike. How ready are we as an industry right now to be able to pick up should the pandemic now, or you know, for example, should the lockdowns be eased as of tomorrow? How ready are we, and how quickly could we pick up as an industry and continue serving guests?
Thanks, Alan. In terms of tourism, we are fully ready. We are completely ready. And this is because every time we have this crisis cycles, we've developed mechanisms of bouncing back. And you have seen KTB immediately went out with some communication. Immediately during the crisis, KTB was the first government agency to say, to tell you, stay safe, stay home, travel later. We already have the airport, Jomo Kenyatta, secured in terms of health protocols. They did that. Kenya Airways sent out their protocols yesterday. We, the hospitality industry, set out our SOPs, I think 2 weeks ago. The travel agents have put up theirs. The tour operators have put up theirs. So what we have is that we are trying to create this safe zone whereby you come into the country, you're in a safe airport, you get into a safe vehicle, get into a safe hotel, and go into a safe park and safe safari. And we rolled out testing of our staff last week. We've already done a number of hotels in the Westlands area, in the Karen area, in the city center, and Mombasa Road. So if we are told open up for business tomorrow, there are customers, we are more than ready to host them, because we already have everything in place that is required in terms of mitigation. Now, the interesting thing is that even when we didn't have the protocols, we still hosted clients. I think we went through, because the passengers we got, we went through probably about 2,000 to 3,000 passengers over that period between March and last week, when people were coming back home. And we had college students coming back after their campuses were shut down. We had businessmen coming back. We had residents of other countries who came back. So we've already proven that we can do it. So it's just a matter of now the other sectors, because we don't operate in a vacuum. It's about the other subsectors also stepping up. And the area that we have the greatest concern is public transport and public places such as shopping malls, where we are seeing, there's really not much control as to how many people can be there. Within our hotels, we can easily, because we just take bookings and we tell you we are full. Or whether that term full means 30% or it means 50%, but we can be able to control the numbers. So we are ready. We hope that His Excellency, the President, will make an announcement either today or tomorrow, giving us the green light. We are happy to sit down with other sectors and help them with their protocols, because we've already done ours, and we are happy to provide the linkages so that people can start coming back. And we've been talking about domestic tourism. We've had discussion around domestic. In fact, yesterday we had a roundtable discussion with KTB on how to jumpstart it. We've been talking about regional tourism. We did a lot of work in East Africa from 2012. I was part of the team that designed the single visa for Kenya, Uganda, and Rwanda, and the movement by ID, and also the reduction of fares between the three countries, between the destinations Nairobi, Entebbe, and Kigali. And we even got Rwanda to start flying directly to the coast because of weddings, and Ugandan airline. And we even got Ethiopian Airlines to come directly to the coast in Qatar. So we have a new program under the East African Tourism Platform, supported by Trademark East Africa. We've just signed a grant of 30 million to jumpstart domestic regional tourism. And that will go now into COVID revival. And then we are ready for the international market. Countries like Germany are thinking of opening up in a week and a half or thereabouts. And we would like to find ways of bringing them out here on safari, because the general tourism game depends on a balance between domestic, regional, and international. We cannot go out and tell our international market, we don't need you now because we have enough of Kenyans. We still need the international market. We still need the domestic market, and we need the regional market. There are certain areas that have very unique markets, like Malindi. Malindi has, they evacuated about 300 retirees just the other day. And these are people who come, they stay for the entire winter period, go back in the summer, come back again. So there's all these markets that are waiting for us. And how are we going to win them back? Is by making sure that we are safe and we guarantee health and safety within our facilities. It's no longer about product or price. It will be about safety and health. Then product and price will come later. So the destinations that will win are the ones that will go out with safety measures first, and we are ready. Thanks.
Great. Sounds extremely encouraging, I must say. Okay, so we need to be prepared to kick off at any time. Now, as a college, we have proceeded with our education programs. Okay, the pandemic has not really held us up from continuing with our courses. We are offering full online courses right now. Now, in line with what Mike Macharia has said, that we are ready to pick up, we're ready to welcome all these guests from different markets. So, assuming now tomorrow lockdown is eased, and then we're in this situation, now we have a lot of guests and they're ready to come and they're ready to visit the Trademark and the Tribe. How ready are you in terms of human resources now to accommodate a number of employees who are waiting, to be employed, because you will need them if the guests come? And on our side as a college and along with a lot of other institutions, you will have a lot of students who are ready for training and internships and so on. So how ready are you to cope with these two sides?
We are ready, mainly because we have two properties at the moment. We know one's undergoing renovation, but as soon as that renovation's done in a couple of months, we're going to need staff there. And we see business will be picking up shortly. At Trademark, our staff are currently living in our hotel on rotation basis to keep themselves safe, to keep everybody else safe. And it's really about how to get those clients into our hotels. So we're embracing a lot more on channel delivery. We're working better with our OTAs. We're looking at new ways of working with our GDSs. And we can already see occupancies rising from October onwards. So September, October. Regional tourism, we can see a lot of attraction in the next couple of weeks of people who want to come in. And I think it's what can we offer each person who wants to experience something. So Tribe and Trademark, they're not properties next to the national park. So we have to come up with our own different strategies on how to encourage people to stay with us. We've created within our hotel a social distancing cinema. We've created a Kaya Express. So usually in the spa where you can go spend 3, 4, 5 hours, we understand that in this time, that's not possible. So we've come up with ways that you can get in and get out without having any contact with anybody apart from your therapist. Harvest is completely ready, and touch wood, since restaurants have been allowed to accept guests from outside, we've been doing extremely well with social distancing and all the protocols that have been in place. So we're very lucky that we've been going through this process as the whole country's been going through the process, and we've been creating all the protocols around it already. So really, we're just adding to our existing infrastructure.
How when you say you're extremely ready in a more practical explanation, how quickly would you be able to, for example, reopen the Tribe and start operations?
So Tribe is undergoing a full renovation at the moment. If I showed you photos, it's bare bone at the moment. There's no tiles, no swimming pool, no restaurant. All the ceilings have been cut out. We estimate the Tribe will be open in October. And honestly, we started undergoing the renovation of Tribe in January. So before all of this even started, we're just taking this opportunity to fast track our renovations at the moment. But from October onwards, we can definitely open up. But we're looking at all our experiences within Tribe and still giving them to our clients. So for example, Kaya has to be closed because of construction, but we're looking at opening up a Kaya Express within the village market. And that actually should be open within the next 7 to 10 days. Our clients keep coming to us and they're like, can we come and just take a hotel room and you massage us there. And we're like, well, that's not an experience. We don't want to lower the expectations of our current clientele. So we're opening up our Kaya Express. Jiko, you can't sit by the beautiful pool of Tribe at the moment, but we are able to give all of its foods through Uber Eats and Jumia. So people can still experience the product without actually walking through that facility. We're very lucky that between the two properties, we have 350 bedrooms. So before Trademark is filled up with its 215 bedrooms, then we have to worry about Tribe really reopening.
True. Great, thank you very much for that insight. Now, talking of guests, okay, going forward, yes, they will start visiting hospitality facilities again. Okay? There has been sort of an indication of, because of the new norm, things might either become cheaper or more expensive. Okay, so it is kind of like, okay, we don't really know. So far, it is this way. Budget tourism, for example, is something that had picked up extremely well. Okay, do we have an indication of how it's going to be and how it's going to affect the entire financial stream? You know, because now, for example, when it comes to conferencing with social distancing, you might not be able to fill in as many people in a conference room as you could before. What financial impacts will that have? Is it going to make it cheaper? Will you have to make it cheaper to attract guests, or will you have to make it more expensive to cover up for the less guests?
Actually, it's a hilarious point. I mean, I'm sure you've sat through some revenue management classes where they say, do not start a price war, it is not worth it. We don't plan on going cheaper in the future. I'll be very honest. The reason we've costed ourselves the way we have is because we can maintain those costs, maintain our staff, maintain our bills based on those pricing. So unless everybody's planning on reducing their costs, unfortunately, that's not something that you can totally look into. But I think where it comes in here is value additions. So I mean, Trademark for a 4-star hotel is highly priced in the market. Most of our competitors would sell at $140, $150. Trademark in the market, you're going to find it usually at $180. I'm not saying during this time in itself, but before COVID started, the cheapest rate you could get was $180 bed and breakfast. But the question we needed to ask ourselves is, why are people coming to us instead of the $140 products? And it's because we offer a lot more value. So we're looking at all the different value additions that we can do at the moment. So if you talk about just COVID times in itself, we have packages going on where it's a dinner and stay, because a lot of people got cabin fever over the long weekends, and we did very well on them. Another one is, what are you doing with your kids? And are they going crazy in your apartments and your homes? So we've created an entire social distancing recreation center for people who are living within our hotels. We have air hockey, ping pong, snooker, board games. We even have a goalpost where you can go kick around a football, a social distancing cinema, a library. And it's really, are we offering more value? And is that why people are willing to come to us? And I believe that's our biggest strength. We have a team that works together really, really well and are super creative in creating value.
Great, thank you. Over to you, Mr. Mike Macharia. As an association, okay, along the same point, so what will the demand be like? Are we expecting people to kind of be shy because of higher prices, or is the demand already there to give us an indication of greater business in future? Sorry, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I must have double-clicked on my mute.
No
yeah,
problem.
I say we don't expect people to come in droves, but again, that has we've been proved wrong. by the number of people we saw going to the national park the other day. In fact, there were too many. We saw some restaurants opening to full capacity of the current capacity that they should be having. So there are two angles here. First of all, there is a world citizenry that has been locked in their homes for very long, and the first thing they want to do is get out. So we will see probably initially a higher propensity to travel that will slow down later, obviously with health and safety concerns. So what we are seeing is that if the airlines, for example, have to lose part of their capacity, then we expect an increase in airfares. If our conference facilities have to take a lower number than the capacity, we might see an increase in prices. But like I said, it's also an opportunity to look at macroeconomic issues. If there's a spike in airline prices, why don't we reduce the taxes? Because those taxes are humongous. Yes. They take about 30 or 40% of the ticket price, if not 45. Why can't we all agree as world citizens, let's reduce those taxes so that we can jumpstart the entire economy? So there are interventions that can be undertaken at a macro level to reduce prices. The case of social distancing in conferencing, we expect that to continue for a while, and we expect the big convention business to slow down initially. But as we learn more and more about COVID, we might even discover that we need to be closer to one another to stop the spread. Science can give us new evidence. Yes. So we will slowly see a bit of because right now what governments are doing is that they are trying to keep the consumption within their countries. And a good example is the UK. The UK has put in measures that if you leave the UK, even as a citizen, and you come back, you must self-quarantine for 14 days. If you're a non-UK citizen going in, you must self-quarantine for 14 days. Yes. For me, I don't think that has a lot to do with health. I think it has a lot to do with the economy, because this is a country that actually paid their citizens to stay home. So yes. If their citizens are going to spend money, they might as well spend it at home. And we can see that being lifted after some time. You've seen the rest of Europe saying travel within Europe. Yeah, because they are prohibited by competition laws to push a buy Netherlands, build Netherlands sort of a thing, sort of a promotion, because it's anti-EU competition laws. Now, closer home, we don't have such strict laws, but we could also start here, because we've gotten so much input from the government. Let's start with local spending before we go elsewhere. And I think just like with everything else, there may be a spike of prices or a lowering of prices, but at the end of the day, it will balance out, and we'll find an equilibrium whereby we go back to the payment for value, so that you're not paying for less than you're getting. But I think there'll be a bit of storms along the way, but we will soon stabilize.
Great, thank you very much. Now over to a slightly different angle. There has been this task force, the Kenyan National Tourism and Hospitality Task Force. I want to ask, what is the progress and the mandate of that task force?
Okay, the mandate, I think the terms of reference are contained in the Gazette notice, but in short, what the minister was trying to achieve, because hospitality guys, we had already come out with our standard operating procedures. The airlines were putting out theirs, the airports were doing theirs, the tour operators. So what the minister was trying to achieve was one a general industry standard operating procedure, so that even if you're seated at a travel agency, you're following the same procedure. If you're seated in a tour vehicle, you're going through the same procedure. We might want to rope in the taxis at some point because they play a very big role, so that wherever you are within the industry, if we went out and told customers it is safe to come back, we know that if we put you through that that circuit, that the what I was calling the virtual safe zone, is that your chances of contracting COVID are very low if you're within that safe zone. And that's what the task force is supposed to do. And that's why you found the task force was given a very short time. The cabinet secretary gazetted, actually put on the gazette notice, you have 7 days to finalize and give me a report. And the 7 days are actually expiring today. So we must, through the PS, give a report today. We've done a lot of work. As usual, draft documents tend to leak out on social media. I've just seen somebody, one of my members, sending me, asking me, is this the document? And I'm thinking, I've just left a meeting that was working on the document. So how can that be the document? And it's probably draft 1 or draft 0 or draft 2. We've already done 4 drafts, and we have to hand in our report today, and probably hand in the official document to the cabinet secretary either on Monday or Tuesday. Okay. So that will create that. And we are hoping that other sectors can come up with their own, like now manufacturing can come with their own industry protocols. The exporters can come with their own industry protocols. The people we engage with, transporters, can come. So that as a country then, we go out and say we have done all these things, and some of the areas have been taken by industry specific operating procedures that will guarantee your safety, as opposed to just a generic document. We have to think about the domestic environment. Like now, for example, if you talk tourism, we have beach operators, we have curio vendors. These are part of tourism, the tourism offering that is not necessarily found in other places around the world. So we have to think domestic, and how we visit the Maasai villages, maybe in the communities, that you'll never find. Even in Tanzania, you don't find that. So we have to think about all these areas where our customers will come into contact with people and make sure that they are safe. And that's why we are banning the midnight oil. And that's why I keep saying we are so confident that we can start welcoming clients anytime from now. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much. Now I'm going to ask a question that applies to both of you. I'd like to start with Arjaa first. How can we, as an educational institution, okay, get involved going forward in your operation? Okay, what advice would you give us as an educational institution to get involved in helping going forward?
So I think the most important thing in hospitality, and what all the colleges actually ask for, is on the ground practical work experience.
Yes.
So whether you're first, second, third year, that has to continue happening. Partnering up with all the big hotels and checking out how all their SOPs and protocols work. So I know even when I was studying hotel management, we did 3 6-month internships just to get experience before we were even allowed to graduate. That is really, really important. And I think also all the different courses that we do, it's good to see what the industry in itself is doing, as well as what we're teaching our next generation of hoteliers. So it's a collaboration aspect, and we work very well with Boma International Hospitality College. So we bring in a class into the organization for a full day where all our heads of departments speak to them, talk to them about what's going on in the industry today, what are we doing moving forward, and how are we innovating to make ourselves better. Because we know, especially in hospitality, that if you learn something 4 years ago, the probability of it still happening is nil to none. So it's just continuously adapting to that innovation and what's going on around in the industry.
Okay, great, thank you very much. What about your end, Mike? How can we as an educational institution get involved in the preparation of going forward and living with COVID?
I think, first of all, Alan, kudos to you. And I'm not saying this as a trustee of the school. I am saying it as an observer. Yes. Because when the crisis broke out, you adopted technology and moved on. Exactly. Not many schools have done that. Not many universities have done that, even here locally. I think I know of just about 3 or 4 universities that have continued teaching. Everybody else has decided we will just wait it out. So that adaptation, first of all, shows that there's a lot of commitment from the school to continue imparting knowledge to students, and well done. What can you do as BIHC? I think number one, I have seen also you engaging a lot of industry people. You have guest lectures, chefs coming in, managers coming in to talk to the students, and all that is good. What probably you might want to do as a step further is engage the industry. This forum is actually very good. I've been following the Utopia series, and there's a lot of issues that are coming out. Engage the industry in a semi-formal way, whereby every probably beginning of year or beginning of semester, academic semester, you go and sit with the players, some of whom will be your alumni, and ask them what are the trends. What do we need to do? What courses do we need to offer? And put those immediately, because the industry is changing so much and so fast that you'll find that the practitioners out there like Arjaa will come and tell you, this module doesn't work for us anymore, or this module needs to be tweaked this way so that it works for us when we get graduates from BIHC. You could also step out of the industry, because the good thing about our industry is that we don't only train for ourselves, we also train for other industries. I've seen a lot of my former colleagues going into aviation, joining the top airlines. I've seen some going to events, running huge events like the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester. I've seen people running hospitals from our industry. We had a CEO of Mater Hospital, former hotel manager, CEO of Nairobi Hospital, and the COO of Gertrude's running. So we don't only train for our industry, we train because we train all-rounders in management. They can easily fit into these other industries. And we also have the value chain. Because I always keep telling people, we think of ourselves as this big distribution outlet. Yes. If there are 7,000 hotels registered in Kenya, those are 7,000 outlets. I don't think we have 7,000 supermarkets registered in Kenya. Yet, we are the ones who push this product. The product that you know, Coca-Cola, Tusker, beef sausage from Farmer's Choice, soap, lotion, paper, writing paper, pens, curios, meat, vegetable, fuel, electricity. We could go on and on and on. We're this big distribution outlet that pushes other people's products. Then it's no wonder that when tourism takes a hit, the rest of all these sectors report a decrease in sales. It's because a big part of their retail outlet has been shut down. So we could reach out to some of these people in our retail outlets. And I remember doing some work with East African breweries and Coca-Cola. We brought them together and we said, let's do cocktails for receptions, pre-dinner receptions. And we had this big Coca-Cola banner, EABL banner, and we're mixing all these interesting cocktails, alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and people are having a really good time. And the Coca-Cola and EABL guys were telling me, we feel so much part of the industry. So can we train for you some of these drinks to do the mixing, or can you train for us in customer care? It's something that we can think about, reaching out to this distribution chain of ours and asking them, what do you want from our industry? Then we can tweak our curriculum towards the needs of those two areas, and we shall win. And I know if we say that to BIC, I know you can do it even tomorrow. So yes. Thanks a lot.
Great, thank you very much. Well, Arjaa, I can tell you for sure, in addition to what Mike Macharia said, we have proceeded with our own courses. We've also had a lot of our own students who, even from home, have been coming up with their own recipes and cocktails. And so you need to prepare yourselves for a lot of talented individuals who will come out of this situation and knocking on your door and selling skill sets that that is ready to produce for your market. Great. Now I would love to continue this conversation. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of this session. It was a great pleasure hosting you. Any parting shot or any final words you would have in terms of advice and what we can look forward in the near future and in the distant future as well? I'll start with you, Arjaa.
Thanks, Alan. No, we're really excited to receive your students. We've had a couple come in as interns and they're absolutely exceptional. I think my parting comments would be, the industry has been disrupted, so we all need to think about how we're going to innovate to recover faster. There's tons of strategies out there, but we just have to continuously innovate and not just compete with ourselves, but compete with the world, because that's the kind of market we're going after COVID happens. Everybody's going to be fighting for the same leisure tourism. So I'm really excited to see what we come up with, especially as a country. Mike and his team have been doing a great job in supporting us. So we're very, very excited to take this journey forward.
Great, thank you very much. Mike?
Thanks, Alan. I think what you can do immediately is get in touch with the Kenya Healthcare Federation. I'll send you a contact, and we could probably start sensitizing our students online about the industry protocols and the safety measures that are expected. And we could probably start training champions so that when they go out there, they are ready, because it will be a health and safety game for a very long time. Even as we innovate new products, we'll need to show the world that we are ahead of the game. So if our students can leave college already trained, then they are our ambassadors out there, and they are our trainers, they are our champions. I think that will be a major, major win. So thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. Keep up the good work at BIHC and continue engaging.
Great. Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to have you here. Hopefully we can engage you again in another web series, whether it will be along the same Utopia hospitality sessions or another sessions that we will be coming up with. All the best going forward, and we will definitely be keeping in touch and looking forward to working together. Huh?
Thank you very much.
Great. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you. Bye.
You too. Bye.